What if I told you that Lewis Hamilton's future in Formula One depends on a steel cylinder head and an engine that has yet to run a single race? Do you think Ferrari has saved its legacy, or has it doomed its new star? The 2026 Formula One season will not be a simple technical restart, it will be a total reconfiguration of the category's identity. For the first time in more than a decade, F1 will not only adjust the rules, it will completely transform the way a car is conceived. The modifications affect the chassis, aerodynamics, and, above all, the power unit, which will be the true heart of this revolution. And right at that critical point, Ferrari has decided to risk it all. It has not been an update or a progressive optimization. It has been a declaration of war on the technical status quo. But beyond engineering, there is a human component that changes everything. Lewis Hamilton. His signing for Ferrari for 2025 was already, in itself, one of the most shocking news in the recent history of F1. Not only because it was symbolic of the seven-time Mercedes champion moving to the eternal red rival, but because it represented the last great narrative turn of his career. A movement with epic overtones, which fueled the collective fantasy of seeing the Briton closing his legacy in the most emblematic team in motorsport. However, that epic does not come without risk. What many don't see is that, for Hamilton, this is not simply a new chapter. It is, quite possibly, the last. He is no longer in his most physically fresh years. There is no room for a slow reconstruction project. You can't afford 2 years of adaptation. Time, the greatest enemy of every athlete, begins to run against them. And that puts him in a unique position. He needs Ferrari to work now in this new technical cycle. That urgency is mixed with a significant dose of uncertainty. Because although the 2026 regulation offers a unique opportunity to break with established hierarchies, it also means that any error in concept, any reliability failure or poor integration between engine and chassis can condemn an entire project for years. It's a double edge. What makes you strong can also destroy you. Therefore, 2026 is not just another year. It's the year. For Ferrari, for Formula One, but above all for Lewis Hamilton, the man who, after almost 2 decades of career, risks his last bullet on a steel stock. The attention of the entire paddock is focused on a part that, until not long ago, was not even considered viable for modern Formula One, the steel cylinder head. Yes, you read that right. In an era where every gram matters, where composite materials and ultralight alloys dominate the scene, Ferrari has decided to opt for steel in the most critical part of the engine, the cylinder head. This component, where the explosions that propel the car are controlled, has been redesigned from scratch by Maranello, breaking with decades of technical tradition. But this is not simply a technical oddity. It is a masterstroke or a madness depending on the lens through which you look. To understand its relevance, we must place ourselves in the context of the 2026 regulation. Formula One will drastically reduce the prominence of the internal combustion engine, going from a dominant proportion to a 50-50 split with the electrical part. The MGUH will disappear completely, and all energy recovery will be done through the MGUK, the regenerative braking system. This forces teams to design power units not only more efficient, but strategically brilliant in how they deliver that limited energy during a lap. This is where steel comes into the picture. Unlike aluminum, steel has a much higher limit of thermal and structural resistance. Translated to the track, it allows the engine to be operated under much higher pressures and temperatures without compromising reliability. This opens the door to more aggressive air-fuel mixtures, more explosive ignition strategies, and, above all, thermal efficiency that can make the difference between winning and losing in a world where every kilowatt counts. Ferrari is not alone in this crusade. The development of this cylinder head has been carried out in collaboration with AVL, one of the most respected engineering companies on the planet in terms of hybrid powertrains. Under the supervision of Enrico Galtieri, Davide Mazzoni, and the strategic return of Guido Di Paola, they have shaped an internal architecture designed not only to resist, but to win. And the engine has not been designed in a vacuum. It is perfectly integrated with the Project 678 chassis. This power unit is not just another component of the car. It is the core around which everything has been built. Smaller radiators, a lighter battery, extreme packaging, and an aerodynamic approach that is only possible thanks to the way the engine has been molded. We are talking about a more radical rear bottle tail, with less drag, better flow towards the diffuser and rear spoiler, all optimized for the new active aerodynamics that will replace traditional DRS in 2026. The final result, according to simulations and technical leaks, is a car with a rear silhouette so narrow that it forces us to rethink how the air is channeled, how the system is cooled, how the car is balanced in fast and slow corners. It is a comprehensive design where engine, chassis, and aerodynamics have been fused in a way not seen since Mercedes' dominance in 2014. But there is a clear risk: reliability. That is the big but that accompanies this revolution. Steel can withstand more, yes, but it also implies greater weight, greater stresses on other parts of the engine block, and an extremely complex development curve. If Ferrari fails to control the temperatures, expansions, and mechanical demands generated by this design, the system could collapse. And this is where the impact for Hamilton becomes evident. Every second on the track with the simulator, every test with this power unit, is more than an adjustment. It is a validation or an alarm. And although the Italian press has described the engine as revolutionary and potentially the second best on the grid after Mercedes, the reality is that, until it is turned on in real racing conditions, everything remains theory. Lewis Hamilton is sitting on a work of art, or on a time bomb. And he knows it. The technical challenge is huge. But if Ferrari gets it right, if it manages to stabilize this unprecedented concept, it could change the course of recent F1 history. It would not only have the most efficient power unit on the grid, but also the most aerodynamically integrated package. And in that convergence of efficiency, power, and design, the 2026 season is played. And perhaps also Lewis Hamilton's 8th title. There is one concept that defines modern Formula One, although it is rarely mentioned openly: timing. It is not enough to be the best driver, nor to have the best car. What defines championships, what transforms races into legends, is being in the right place, at the right time. And in the case of Lewis Hamilton, 2026 represents the last time in his career when that moment can align again. Hamilton has opted for Ferrari not only as a symbolic or sentimental decision, but as a move calculated at the highest strategic level. He knows the cycles of Formula One. He knows that big regulatory changes tend to shuffle the cards, topple empires, and build new domains. It is exactly what he experienced in 2014 with Mercedes, when he went from an unstable team to an unstoppable dynasty. And that experience is what he wanted to repeat now with Ferrari. Because there is no room for errors between two drivers like Leclerc and Hamilton. Charles represents the present of Ferrari. The darling of Maranello, raised internally, molded to be the future champion. Now he must share a structure with a living legend who does not retire, but rather claims what he considers still belongs to him: the top. In this scenario, Ferrari will have to balance a very delicate balance. You cannot afford to openly prioritize one of the two without sacrificing internal morale or results. Because if Leclerc feels that he is marginalized, the relationship that took so long to build breaks. And if Hamilton feels that he is not given the car necessary to compete at the highest level, the redemption narrative that attracted the attention of the entire world fades. And all this happens with the magnifying glass of public opinion constantly pressing. Every qualifying session, every race stint, every little reliability problem will be interpreted as a sign, an omen, a validation, or a warning. The 2026 season will not only be a fight for points, it will be a war for narratives. And Hamilton does not compete alone against his rivals. Race against time, against expectation, against history. Therefore, more than a simple change of team, more than a technical evolution, what is at stake is something deeper: the legacy. If Ferrari triumphs, if this revolutionary engine works and Hamilton manages to take the SF26 to glory, we will be witnessing one of the most epic closes to a racing career in the history of sport. But if it fails, it will be a brutal reminder that even the greatest, when they bet everything, can also lose. And in Formula One, no one forgives failure. We are facing one of those moments that define eras, not just careers. The year 2026 is just around the corner, and with it comes the perfect storm. A new regulation, a technological revolution, a team desperate for redemption, and a champion with one last burning ambition. Ferrari has made a bet that goes beyond the technical. You have built a vision. He has challenged the design dogmas of an entire industry to create something that, if it works, will forever change our perception of what is possible in modern Formula One. The choice of steel in your cylinder head is not a simple engineering decision. It is a symbol of rebellion. A cry for independence before a grid that seemed anchored in what was safe, what was comfortable, what was predictable. And at the center of that cry is Lewis Hamilton, a driver who has already won everything. That he has nothing to prove, but at the same time, he feels that he still has everything to write. His arrival at Ferrari was not just a change of uniform. It was a declaration of principles. The act of faith of a champion who does not want to retire in silence, but with the roar of one last great victory. The steel engine can be your salvation, or your doom. It can be the tool that returns him to the top of the world, or the trap that ties him to a dream that never came. And the most powerful thing of all is that we don't know yet. That uncertainty is what makes this story so magnetic, so human, so brutally real. Do you think Ferrari has found the key with this engine? Will Lewis Hamilton be the man to lead a new red era, or are we looking at one last act from a champion who was late for his last dance? Leave me your opinion in the comments what you think about all this.